Hello, my name is Mika Julian.
I'm Mariah Allard.
I'm Cassie.
And I'm Epiphany, and today we'll be talking about the effect of celebrity endorsements on purchasing behaviors and outcomes. Advertisements are all around you, whether you're driving in your car and you look up and see a billboard with an advertisement on it, or you flip open a newspaper and you see an advertisement in there. It's seriously all around you, even just walking around Wimberley or Centennial or anywhere. Advertisements are everywhere. So there's a few different types of advertisements. There's unpaid advertisements, which obviously is someone that's not getting compensated for what they're saying, and they're just like talking to their friends or anyone about this certain product without getting anything in return. So a lot of the times this would be word of mouth advertisement. But then there's also paid advertisements, which is when someone is getting compensated for what they're saying. So, for example, on Instagram, sometimes just normal people are getting sponsored by a certain company to talk about their product, even though they're not famous, they're still putting out the word for this specific product. Otherwise, there are celebrity endorsers, which is what we'll be focusing our paper on today. Celebrity endorsers are people that are well known in the community, and they are paid by a certain company to endorse their company. So celebrity endorsers are typically people that align really well with the brand, and there's a few different ways to actually increase the sales of the company. The first way is if the celebrity does well in their professional career. So, for example, if an athlete scores a ton more goals this season than in their previous seasons, then that will reflect in the sales of the company because people like someone that is doing success or is being successful and is doing a good job in the community. So sales will increase because of the celebrity endorser in that way. Another way that a celebrity endorsers can increase the sales of a company is through perceived congruence. So for consumers, it's extremely important that the celebrity endorser actually matches with the company values. If they have, for example, if the celebrity endorser is someone that's loyal, trustworthy, and fun, that's what you want reflected in the brand. If they don't match up, if these two don't match up, then to the consumer, it doesn't make sense why this celebrity endorser would be representing this brand. So for example, if an athlete is a celebrity endorser for a company that sells athletic shoes, for the consumer, this completely makes sense in their mind because the celebrity would actually be someone that would use those athletic shoes and would have product knowledge on this. The last way that a celebrity endorser can help the sales of a company increase is through the attractiveness model. Basically, this states that consumers extend celebrity attributes onto the brand. So if an athlete, let's say, is the celebrity endorser, and they're looked at with awe, and consumers are just genuinely impressed by their confidence, that attribute will be transferred onto the brand, making the brand seem better and is more in line with the consumer. So as long as the celebrity endorser has good traits with them, these traits will be associated with the brand as well.
Now that we have a more clear understanding of advertisements and the different types, we can explore what goes into the cognitive processes that go into creating effective advertisements. Persuasiveness is a huge component in creating advertisements. Persuasiveness is the intention to influence and sway someone's opinion. We can further break down the definition of persuasiveness by looking at the different attitudes. Attitudes refer to a personal assessment towards anything, which in this case would be an advertisement, and they are critical in decision-making and purchasing behavior, as people tend to purchase the items that they value and avoid behaviors that are viewed negatively. There are several different attitudes that one can hold, but for the purpose of this study, we are looking at implicit and explicit attitudes of consumers. Implicit attitudes are attitudes that are not consciously known to the consumer. Without realizing it, consumers are often persuaded by certain celebrity endorsements implicitly. The use of internal persuasion is extremely influential because it is so subtle. Contrastingly, there are explicit attitudes that a consumer can hold. Explicit attitudes are much more popular as they are known to the individual. In a study done by Huang and Hutchinson, they examined the attitudes of customers by having them engage in a thought listing task, which helps them identify their thoughts regarding a particular advertisement. Overall, implicit and explicit attitudes must be considered in order to create an effective advertisement. Biases can also affect the production of celebrity endorsements, and we can further incorporate the phenomenon of biases into the different types of attitudes. It has been found that pre-existing biased attitudes towards a certain advertisement, product, or celebrity can influence both implicit and explicit attitudes. Aside from pre-existing biases, we can also look at how emotion can bias cognition. Advertisements that play upon a familiar emotion within a consumer will greater resonate with that consumer since they can relate to a particular emotion within the advertisement. In combining bias and emotion, we can look at the positivity bias. This occurs when people are happy. It leads to them viewing and interpreting advertisements more favorably. The positivity bias can lead to advertisements being more likable or desirable and increase the likelihood of buying the specific product. Now we can look at the cognitive processes that are evoked from advertisements. So this is what the consumers will be experiencing. There are two main processes that consumers utilize in viewing advertisements, which are cognitive and emotional. Cognitive involvement within endorsements is defined as the thought-related reactions generated by stimuli. In contrast, emotional involvement consists of the feelings and arousal induced by stimuli within the advertisement. Both cognitive and emotional processes differ across regular endorsements and celebrity endorsements. In a study done by Chen, it was found that all subjects were more aroused by the celebrity advertisement rather than an advertisement with an ordinary spokesperson. It is important to note, however, that there were significant differences between the elderly's processing and young adults' processing of advertisements. Elderly participants had an overall lower processing of celebrity endorsements. From an effective perspective of advertisements, we can look at the attractiveness and the expertise of the endorser. It is concluded that high expertise and a highly attractive endorser creates a greater effect on the advertisement. The past research studies have illustrated which cognitive processes are evoked within consumers, but it is up to the advertiser and the endorser to extract these cognitive and emotional processes from the consumer.
Social cognition also heavily ties into advertisements because the bridge between informational advertising and social implications has inevitably affected how consumers make decisions about products and services. One aspect of social cognition that determines consumers' purchasing behaviors is social inclusion, in other words, belonging to a group. This leads to a certain way of perceiving and viewing advertisements, thus leading to certain and specific buying behavior and purchases. According to a study conducted by Bondrea in 2014, advertisements that reflect our self and group identity are more effective than advertisements that don't. For example, if you're a Packers fan and you see an advertisement that shows the Packers team endorsing a certain product, you're more likely to buy that product instead of if it was an advertisement that had an opposing team in which you do not support. Members that share the same social groups also often have similar personality traits and values. The association between these personality traits and consumer outcomes has been studied extensively by researchers within the marketing industry. Furthermore, according to a study conducted by Kuo and his colleagues in 2012, personality traits also significantly impact the effectiveness of persuasive communication, and advertisements significantly use persuasive communication. Consumers also tend to expose themselves to advertisements in their daily life selectively and then interpret these advertisements based on their current beliefs and attitudes that they already have. This ties into confirmation bias, in which we seek out evidence to prove our implicit beliefs and current beliefs to be correct. Based on the social and cognitive process that we've discussed, we created a study that seeks to identify how participants view endorsements with and without a celebrity endorser. We hypothesize that those who view an advertisement with a celebrity endorser will be more likely to purchase an item than those who view an advertisement without a celebrity endorser. The participants we chose for this study will be Midwestern United States residents varying in ages between 18 and 50. The reason we decided to use such a diverse age sample is to account for the different perceptions between different age groups. The materials that we used are 2 advertisements, one with a celebrity endorser, which is going to be Aaron Rodgers, and one without the celebrity endorser. We will be using the effectiveness of advertisements scale to measure the effectiveness of each advertisement and compare the results between the two groups. The scale consists of items regarding the likelihood of purchasing the item that was advertised. So to test our hypothesis, we will divide our participants up into two groups, an independent group and a dependent group. So for the independent, they'll view an advertisement that does not have the endorser Aaron Rodgers in it. And then for the dependent, it will have our celebrity endorser Aaron Rodgers. In both videos, the item that will be advertised will be an athletic shoe. After viewing the advertisements, both groups will complete the effectiveness of advertisement scale. We will be evaluating the results of the effectiveness of the advertisements in such a way that low scores on this scale indicate poor effectiveness of the advertisement, while high scores on the scale indicate higher levels of effectiveness. We hypothesize that the groups that view the advertisement with Aaron Rodgers will be more likely to purchase the item than those who did not, than the group that did not.
If the results prove the hypothesis to be correct, this will suggest that having a celebrity endorser on a product positively influences the likelihood of the consumer purchasing the athletic shoe. And if the results don't support the hypothesis, it will suggest that having Aaron Rodgers as the celebrity endorser does not influence the consumer's behavior of buying the shoe. So if the hypothesis was supported by using Aaron Rodgers, it would support the previous research that we found that would suggest that using a celebrity endorser does lead to a positive influence on the consumer behavior compared to using a regular or ordinary spokesperson. The resulting increase in sales through using Aaron Rodgers would also be more likely to increase as his performance increases in the field of football. However, there could be a negative impact, though, of his athletic performance on purchasing behavior. If Rodgers performs poorly in a football game and his likability goes down, then consumers will be less likely to purchase the product that he is endorsing. The idea of perceived congruence would be supported if we did find what we wanted to be as using Aaron Rodgers as the endorser for the shoe, and that there is the congruence between the product and the athlete. To the consumer, these two items match well, so that positively influences their purchasing behavior. And since he's a sports athlete, that even more so influences it, especially if he is performing well in his football games. Using Aaron Rodgers as a celebrity endorser for the athletic shoes may be a more credible source than using an ordinary spokesperson, as well as other athletes potentially who are mediocre or not as well known in the field of football. If our results fail to support hypothesis, this would suggest that using Aaron Rodgers as our celebrity endorser would have no influence on the purchasing behavior of our consumers. This finding could be linked back potentially to a negative attitude toward Aaron Rodgers, especially as each week it's updating on how he's performing in the games, especially when it's on season. There could also be complications in the persuasiveness of the advertisement, which could go back to visual stimuli and other things besides using the celebrity endorser. And overall, the results could suggest that Aaron Rodgers is not a suitable celebrity endorser, and potentially there could be someone else that would be a better endorser option for future research. For these reasons, it's important for companies to take into consideration not only who they're choosing as celebrity endorser, but really emphasizing that they are high caliber and well respected within the field of the product that they're endorsing. These factors can influence positively and negatively how effective and likable the product is to consumers. Any pre-existing bias also should be taken into consideration when choosing a celebrity endorser, because they do have such a large impact on consumer behaviors. Further research on this topic could include using a different athletic celebrity endorsers, such as Tiger Woods, to see if a different likability affects the effectiveness of the advertisement. There could also be potential for doing a completely different genre, so doing an actor endorsing products or like beauty products and things like that. This could also be further researched by comparing celebrity endorser effects, like I said, on different products rather than just athletic ones. Results on the study could provide insight as to whether or not the endorser does play an effective role in consumer behavior. In conclusion, celebrity endorsements
work if it's the right celebrity that are chosen for these advertisements. We thank you for listening to our presentation and look forward to seeing you on campus.